Okay, so we have hit episode 2 of The Outsider. This episode was also directed by Jason Bateman. So this episode opens up with Detective Ralph Anderson going to see Terry Maitland in prison in the middle of the night. The reason he does it this way is he wants to be with him one-on-one, look him dead in the eyes, and get the truth out of Terry with no interference of lawyers and other cops and the DA. And you see Ralph is talking about with Terry all the conflicting evidence. This is literally a continuation from last episode where Ralph's wife was telling him to really just go with his full-on instinct and gut here and put all the noise away. And that's what he's doing here. And Jason Bateman goes on a really good monologue here, asking Ralph about when he asked him if he touched his son, and then goes on a bit of an explanation of how he really touched his son in a way, making him more confident through learning how to stand up for himself, be bigger than he was, and be good on his baseball team. So it really feeds into showing more innocence towards Terry, especially in Ralph's eyes. And this ends up being just a really great scene, and it's like a Last Supper scene for Terry here, because then we go the next day, and it's Terry's court appearance. And just like that, so fast in this episode, which was shocking, and it was kind of cool, because a lot of big moments in shows are always at the end of an episode, but this just gives it to you right away to catch you off guard. And it's when Ralph's literally walking Terry to the court, and we got a shooter here, and Terry gets hit in the neck. I love how they shot this, where they showed it in regular speed, but then they showed it again in like slow-mo. And when Ralph sees who he's killed in self-defense, he sees it's the Peterson boy who did this, obviously, because his mother died, his brother died, and he blames Terry. And why this affects Ralph so much, killing this boy, is it will later on see in his therapy scene that he connects that to the boy he lost in his son Derek, and he, I guess, imagines the Peterson boy with his son's hair on him, so it's close to home for him. And when he sees Terry, Terry's last words are, "It wasn't me, I didn't do it." So this is just more for the case for Terry here, and Ralph coming to terms with this, that he messed this up. And this episode's kind of now setting up him trying to get redemption. And at the end of this scene with the big death of Terry, you see there's a mysterious figure again in this hood, and we can see his mouth is all like disformed watching. So keep an eye on that, and every time he appears. So Jason Bateman as a director is really good at establishing shots, and he does a good blend of doing just scenes with certain moods to them, and that is enhanced by the score. Everything's always on sync, and you see this a lot in Ozark, and it happens in this episode. And I really particularly love this shot of when we get introduced to the new character, Jack Hoskins, who's on his vacation hunting, and you see him in like this valley. It just looks beautiful. And then we see he's hunting, and he's hunting this boar, and then he gets the call to come in because he is also a cop. This pisses him off. It's going to take him off vacation. He doesn't actually end up killing this boar, and then we see a shot of the boar being mauled. So something killed it. So that was very important. And this is going to go to this little pig theme going on in this episode with seeing this boar, and then it connecting later on to Big D's, which we'll get into. So we see Ralph has been put on 2 weeks leave. He is ordered to see a trauma therapist, and everything is falling apart around him. Terry dying, the Peterson boy dying, the Peterson mother dying, the other Peterson boy dying, and then he gets news that his partner was hit and she's about to have a baby, so they're just worried it might affect the baby. So it's all racking up on Ralph's conscience. So when Eunice goes to see Ralph, important information we're going to get here is that this mystery van with the New York license plate was originally stolen by a kid, and he switched the van for a Mini Cooper in Ohio. And Ralph remembers when he talked to Terry early in the episode, he learned they went on vacation to Dayton, Ohio. So now it seems like there's something connecting here. So as this is making Ralph's mind go even further and not actually take time off, Ralph picks up smoking again, we learn. And now he's thinking about this scrap of paper that he didn't look into enough that was under the windshield wiper in the van. And you'll see in his next scene, he actually goes to his office when he shouldn't be, and he goes into the evidence room and gets this piece of paper back. So he's already just finding things he just let go and mistakes he made and now trying to fix them. Meanwhile, we get this crazy scene, which was probably my favorite shot scene in this episode, where there are so many suicide scenes in shows. It's always dark, it's heavy, but a lot of them are very similar in how they're presented. This felt different. I thought it was really well done how they had the grandfather clock ticking. You didn't hear any other audio until Mr. Peterson actually broke the glass swinging from killing himself, and the jogger sees it. I thought Bateman did a great job directing it. It felt fresh on a type of scene we've seen so much now in TV. But take note, this hooded figure again appears and saw this happen. But now we shift on to a scene that District Attorney Samuels has Ralph come to his office, and the difference between these two characters is night and day. Bill Samuels looks bad here. He's worried that Mrs. Maitland and Howie are gonna sue him for negligence in this case and how the town handled it. But you see, Ralph's like, she deserves every penny. So he can face the music, he can admit when he was wrong. And for D.A. Samuels, it's all about politics to him. And even compares what happened to Terry as like war stories that never got solved. And he says, sometimes there's unanswered questions. You learn to live with it and move on. And Ralph Anderson, perfectly said by Ben Mendelsohn, says, yeah, that's hard for me. It's just showing and highlighting to Stephen King's great writing, how he has such good juxtaposition between these two characters. And I think a lot of people just watching a show like this can relate to Ralph, because we want answers in shows like this. No letting go, and it hooks you in. And why Ben Mendelsohn's such a good casting of this character of Ralph is because even though he royally screwed up this case, you still really like this guy and you're rooting for him. He's a likable actor. He's a great actor too. So you're just seeing him shine now in this role. It's basically almost feels like it's made for him. Now what's also important is we're getting more scenes of the youngest Maitland daughter, Jessa. She's having nightmares of this man. She's seeing this man at night, she claims. But this time, one of the scenes ends with a shot of some mysterious liquid on the floor in front of the nightlight. And in a scene like this, the score again is just carrying it. The score here is really good, and HBO just has a knack for having great composers work on their show, and that is clearly the case here again. But this mysterious liquid connects to everything, which we'll get to later on. But look, we see that the big D flyer Ralph connects from his wife that it's for Big Daddy's Hangry Q in Dayton, and it has a pig on it connecting to this boar that we saw earlier. And to me, that's just kind of showing whatever's going on between how did this boar get killed in this episode? Why is this boar the location near this van? It's all connected. But we learned that the Maitlands were on vacation in Dayton from March 3rd to March 7th. And when Ralph goes with Eunice to meet with the kid who stole the van, he confirms he was in that parking lot in front of Big Daddy's Hangry Q, and that it was on Ash Wednesday, which is March 6th, so it lines up in the time the Maitlands were there. But what's throwing it off is that they flew both ways to Dayton, so how the hell would the van have gotten to Georgia in that time with Terry? So just adding more to this conflicting evidence. I also love some humor here that was thrown in where Eunice tells Ralph, the only way I'm driving you to see this kid was for him to go to this therapist. And in that scene, we see Ralph shares with this therapist that him and his wife went to a grief counselor when they lost their son, but he literally says, I'm still grieving. And this is what I was talking about, where the scene illuminated how it really hit a soft spot with him, with killing that boy. And he says to the therapist, it feels like punishment being here. And I can only take that as to that, you know, when you're in therapy, you're facing your demons, you're going inside your mind, which can be a scary place, and his brain clearly is just punishing him for all these things he's messed up right now. So it would make sense he'd feel that way in therapy. And Ralph even goes to Glory Maitland's house, tells her he needs her help, pitches it as, if you help me, we can clear Terry's name and it'll help your family's image and your life. She's just still pissed off though, but it is a good case by Ralph. But you feel bad too, because she says her daughters don't even have friends anymore because of it. And this just, again, just shows you how when you mess up a case like this, how it impacts everybody involved in a bad way. So we get a big scene where Glory, Howie, Alec, and Ralph are in the kitchen. Ralph now is trying to plead his case to them and needing their help. And I love Bill Camp here as Howie, where he's saying to Ralph Anderson, what's the punchline? Trying to get him to the point, and Ralph just screams back at him at one point, there is no punchline. That was just great. But the main important things are hitting home. How did this van get to where it ended up, especially if they flew from Dayton and they're like, well, maybe it's haunted. They say jokingly, but this is Stephen King. It could be a possibility. But we learn that they vacation in Dayton because Terry goes to see his father, who has dementia. And Ralph's like, well, did anything strange happen while you guys were there? The eldest daughter jumps in and says, from afar, eavesdropping, that Daddy got a cut. We learn he got this cut from a nurse at this hospital who was a man, and he bumped into the nurse on a wet floor. So this is where it connects to the mysterious liquid we saw in the bedroom earlier, and that whatever this mysterious man is, it's got to be the same person with this liquid dripping. And then it comes full circle in the final scene where we see this guy in a barn. He finds men's clothes with this mysterious liquid on it. But from looking at the clothes, those got to be Jack Hoskins. I mean, it's got the belt with the horse on it and the same outfit he was wearing in The Office earlier in the episode. So what even happened there? Let me know your theories. Again, no book spoilers anywhere. That's not for here. I will delete those comments. Now, as a whole, this episode, I didn't think it was good as the premiere, but that's expected. Usually, second episodes of the show drop it down a bit. It still was really good. Jason Bateman is a solid director. He has proven that with Ozark, and this just solidifies him here with these first 2 episodes of The Outsider. I did feel at points it was a little boring. I don't know why I felt that way, but that's just how I felt in this episode. But it's mostly hooking me with great performances all around. For this episode, I'm going to give it an 8.8. Let me know what you thought of it down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I read every comment and try to respond to as many as I can. Please make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss one of my reviews of The Outsider. I'm also reviewing shows like Servant. I did Watchmen as well, and I'll be doing Better Call Saul. I also do celebrity interviews, and I try to review movies as much as I can, so you want to be able to see those. And please follow me at SteveVarley1 on Twitter and Instagram for more of me, and I'll see you next time.